And for the first semester po, 25, 100%. Ngayon pa lang po yata kayo magkakaroon ng 99% dahil parang hindi nyo tatanggapin ang mag-asawang diskaya sa Witness Protection Program. Ano po kaya ang magiging dahilan natin kung bakit hindi natin sila tatanggapin? Sila po ba'y nakausap na natin? Sabi po ninyo, you will conduct a diligent, a thorough interview of the couple and you will assess their statement. Nagawa na po ba natin ito?
Hindi pa ho. Hindi pa tayo umaabot sa bandang yon sapagkat mainit po ang naging talakayan sa Senado, mainit po ang nagiging exchange ng mga pananaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, at magandang hapon po sa mga opisyalis po ng DOJ. Mr. Secretary, nung nakarang linggo po ako po ay nagtanong sa inyong nakababatang kapatid ng isang katanungan. Ngunit ito po ay hindi niya nasagot. Baka sakaling kayo po ang makasagot sa pagkakataong ito. Tinanong ko po sa kanya kung magkano po ang nagugol sa pagdakip at pagpapadala sa ating dating Pangulo mula dito sa Pilipinas papuntang The Hague.
Hindi ko ho kayang sagutin yan. Unang-una, sa nangyaring yan, aking pong contact dito ay through telephone. Ako po ay nasa Vienna nung panahon na yon at ang aming pong pakay noon ay pumunta sa United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime. Kaya nasa Vienna po ako nung panahon na yon. Kaya hindi ko ho nakita yung dami ng pulis. Hindi ko ho subaybayan yung mga resources po na ginamit upang madala po yung dating Pangulo sa The Hague. Pero ngunit masasabi ko, wala hong nasaktan, wala hong nabawian ng buhay, at maayos po siyang nakarating sa Hague na wala hong incident. Kaya kahit paano, pasalamat po tayo na hindi na po, wala na hong na-disgrasya sa pagkakataong iyon.
Opo, so sino pong nag-order na dalhin po siya doon kung kayo po ay nasa ibang bansa?
Ano ho yan? Halos 10 oras po akong nakikipag-usap by telephone mula po sa oras ng Europa papunta po rito sapagkat yung legal basis po ay pinag-aaralan at kiniklear nila sa akin. Kaya ako po nagbigay ng legal basis under Republic Act 9851, Section 17, and other sections of the International Humanitarian Law.
Ngunit di po ba sinabi, paulit-ulit na sinabi ng ating Pangulo na tayo po ay nag-withdraw na sa Rome Statute, tayo po, the ICC has no jurisdiction over us, at I will not lift a finger in the investigation of any crimes regarding ICC. Kung ganun po ang policy pronouncement ng ating Pangulo at hindi niya kinikilala ang pagiging miyembro natin sa ICC, sino po ang, kumbaga, hindi sumunod sa pronouncement na ito? Ba't nagpatuloy pa tayo sa pagdakip sa ating dating Pangulo?
Ang problema ho kasi dito, nung nag-withdraw po tayo sa ICC, sa Rome Statute, hindi na ho tayo miyembro. Ngunit yung batas po na ating pinasa noong 2011 na Republic Act 9851, yun po ang naging basihan ng lahat. Kung ito po ay ating tinanggal sa ating legal system, yung batas na yun, kaakibat ng ating pag-atras sa ICC, wala na hong basihan sana. Ngunit nandun pa ho yung batas na yun, Republic Act 9851.
Di po ba bilang parte ng kabinete ng ating Pangulo, tayo ay nagsisilbing alter ego ng ating presidente? At sa paglabag sa kanyang kagustuhan, hindi po ba nagkakaroon ng breach or violation ng trust and confidence? Kung saan ating hindi tayo tumatalima sa ninanais ng ating Pangulo na kayo ay pwedeng maging subject or vulnerable to any administrative liability.
Alam niyo ho, ang pagtatrabaho po sa gobyerno ay sako po yan sa marami hong desisyon na ginagawa natin sa araw-araw. At hindi ho nakataga sa bato ang lahat ng ating desisyon o kaya yung lahat ng ating paningin, maaari po itong magbago sa pagdating ng panahon, sa bawat panahon. At marahil nagbago po ang aming pagtingin sa usaping ito nung dumating po yung pagkakataon na talagang ando na ho ang Republic Act 1951 at lahat po ng factor tinitingnan po natin sa security po ng ating bansa.
Does the former president pose any security threat? Kahit ganun na siya katanda.
Marahil yan po ay dapat tanungin natin sa NSA natin kung ano ho ang naging evaluation ng panahon na yon. Basta't sa akin po, ang aking clearance na binigay ay sa legal basis. Ang legal basis ng kanyang pagpunta sa The Hague. Yun po yung ating trabaho bilang legal counsel po ng gobyerno.
So pwede po tayong tumaliwas sa kagustuhan ng presidente. Kahit tayo
Hindi
ay
ho tayo
parte ng...
tumaliwas, marahil ho, nagbago rin ang lahat sa ang kanyang paningin sa usapin ito. Hindi ho nga, sabi ko nga kanina, hindi ho nakataga sa bato ang lahat ng ating paningin ng panghabang buhay. Minsan nagbabago po. Yun po yung ating pagtingin dito.
Ayan po. Yun po kasing mga pangyayaring ito nung dinakip ang ating dating Pangulo, it poses some questions that need to be answered. Halimbawa, what is the role of the DOJ Secretary in high-profile law enforcement operations involving political figures, including former officials? How does the DOJ ensure that such operations are impartial, conducted strictly within legal bounds, and free from political interference, or not influenced by political pressures, especially when they involve a former head of state? What is DOJ's accountability if evidence later shows that its actions were weaponized for political purposes?
Kami ho, ang aming gabay dito, rule of law. Yun po yung aming mantra dito, yun po yung aming sinusunod. At yun po ang dahilan kung bakit meron po tayong Department of Justice, rule of law po, para humaayos ang lipunan natin at tahimik po.
Thank you. My last question po, Mr. Chair. Sa presentation niyo po, nakalagay dito, there's a 100% completion rate ng mga applications for witness coverage dun po sa Witness Protection Program. 100% in 2024 and for the first semester of 2025, 100%. Ngayon pa lang po yata kayo magkakaroon ng 99% dahil parang hindi nyo tatanggapin ang mag-asawang Diskaya sa Witness Protection Program. Ano po kaya ang magiging dahilan natin kung bakit hindi natin sila tatanggapin? Sila po ba'y nakausap na natin? Sabi po ninyo, you will conduct a diligent, a thorough interview of the couple and you will assess their statement. Nagawa na po ba natin ito?
Hindi pa ho. Hindi pa tayo umaabot sa bandang yon sapagkat mainit po ang naging talakayan sa Senado, mainit po ang nagiging exchange ng mga pananaw. Wala ho kami sinasaradong pinto. Ang mahalaga lang, may proseso po tayo susundin para ma-evaluate po ang testigo. Ang mahalaga po, nagsasabi ng totoo at talagang kailangan ng testimonyang yon para yung buong katotohanan, para maabot po natin lahat ng dapat natin maabot sa pagbungkal po ng kaso upang maparusahan po yung dapat parusahan.
Opo. If you will, have you gone over the sworn statement of the couple, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chair?
Wala pa ho akong kopya. I have not been provided with a copy of that nor any letters. Wala ho ako nakukuha pa. Everything was in a phone conversation. Kaya nga hindi ho kayang magdesisyon kaagad based on the telephone conversation. Kailangan po may proseso talaga tayong sundin.
Opo, kasi kung if I may appraise the Secretary, marami po siyang binanggit ng mga personalidad doon at mukhang detalyado. Baka naman ito ay magkaroon ng konting merito dahil hindi naman po ito basta-basta lamang. Ito ay sinumpaang salaysay na pwede naman natin pag-aralan at lalo ating suriin kung talagang meron pong katotohanan dito.
Totoo po yan. Susuruin po natin yan. Ngunit marami rin po tayo itatanong na mahalaga para maging kompleto po ang kasaysayan ng lahat. Kasi kung sila po ay 15 taon na nangongontrata at ay ikikwento nila ay 3 taon lang, marahil kulang po yun. Kailangan po malaman natin yung buong kasaysayan ng kanilang pangongontrata at kung ano ang kanilang dinaanang patakaran at yung mga sinasabi nilang obligasyon. 15 taon dapat mapag-aralan po natin lahat yan at sabihin nila sa atin kung ano talaga ang naganap sa mga panahon na sila ay nangongontrata mula 2007 hanggang 2025. Hindi lang po 3 taon, ngunit yung buong kasaysayan po ang ating gusto makita. Para masolve po natin itong problemang ito na bumabagabag sa ating bansa ngayon. Iyon po yung mahalaga, kung may testigo hong ganong kahaba ang kasaysayan sa pangongontrata, marahil mas marami sila mabibigay sa ating mga pangalan, mga petsa, project, engineer, at kung sino po mga mambabatas, kung sino man ang nakialam sa mga kontrata, yun po yung kailangan natin malaman. Hindi lang po yung 3 taon o 2 taon na kanilang binigay sa kanilang unang sulumpang salaysay.
Mr. Secretary, papayag po ba kayo if we will broaden the scope of the investigation to include the years 2007 up to 2025?
Opo. Kailangan po talaga we get to the bottom of this kasi yung bansa po natin ang nakasalalay dito. Ang bigat na ho ng saloobin ng Pilipino. Kailangan po malaman nila yung kasaysayan ito. Kung kinakailangan po umabot tayo sa 1998, gawin po natin para makita ho natin kung saan tayo dapat pumunta at saan tayo paparoon. Yun po, hindi tayo matututo pag hindi natin nakita ang buong kasaysayan po at sistema na umiiral ngayon na mula po nung mga panahon na yun.
Ano po kayang posibleng possible grounds that they will be denied their application for witness protection? Di ba sabi po...
Ano ho kasi yan? Testimonial evidence po yan. Ang mahalaga po, ilabas din nila yung mga dokumento. Yung kanilang records, yung kanilang mga ledger. Lahat po yan dapat open to scrutiny. Wala ho sila dapat itatago na kahit ano. Yun po yung hinahanap natin talaga sa mga tumitestigo po as state witness. Mahirap po mag-alaga ng state witness, sinasabi ko sa inyo. Kasi ako ho, I take it upon myself to talk to these people and to know their state of mind, their security. And I spend a lot of time doing this even on Sundays. I can tell you that. Kaya hindi ho ito biro sa akin. Ito po ay isang misyon na ating ginagampanan upang magkaroon ng hustisya sa ating bansa.
Maraming salamat po.
Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair. I have no more questions.
Thank you, Representative Paolo Marcoleta. Now we go to the majority. Representative Tony Boy Roman.
Good afternoon to the DOJ family and also the attached agencies. Tony Roman from the 1st District of Bataan. First, congratulations on the impressive case disposition rate. It's almost perfect, 100%, almost. My question is, do you have data on a granular basis to show the respective performances of the different regions or maybe different provinces? And for those that are struggling to maintain a high or impressive disposition rate, what kinds of interventions have you done? And whether these interventions are reflected in the budget? Compound question, if you will allow, Mr. Chair.
Yes, if I may, Your Honor, yes, definitely the data can be made available. We can disaggregate per region, per province and per city prosecutor's office. Bataan, particularly. Your Honor, we've done intervention, but basically the NPS law allows already for that. With the passage of the NPS law 10071, the regional prosecutors per region already is like a mini a sub-secretary in that particular region. So we are able to designate or assign other prosecutors within the region. But still, ang problema po namin, Your Honor, is the pie na pinagkukunan. Yung kanina pong pinag-usapan natin na the ideal number is 3,800. Then what we have now is 3,000 lang po yung plantilla position. And there are around 400 pending appointment pa ho. So, but we see that the journey, we will be over the hill by year end. Hopefully, when the Office of the President gives out those appointment papers, we will be over the hill na po itong data na to.
So you feel that it's the shortage of prosecutors that explains basically why some localities are lagging behind.
Yes, that's the biggest factor. Your Honor.
To what extent have you compensated for that using technology, in particular AI? And also, to what extent does your budget reflect your investment in AI?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, to respond to that, we have not employed any AI platforms, but suffice it to say that we are innovating in many ways. For instance, we are lessening the trial time because when we file the case, it is already trial ready. And most of the time, our convictions come due to the plea bargain. The accused, faced with the enormity of the evidence against him, will opt not to go to the full-length trial, but instead accept a plea bargain for a lesser penalty. And that has been the mode now of disposing cases, that they are now convicted based on the plea bargain. So that shortens the trial time and gives the prosecutors other time to devote it to more important matters.
So my next question then is, why hasn't the DOJ looked into using AI to basically facilitate the discharge of its responsibilities?
Tool that we can actually use in the DOJ. It's the speed at which AI computes many permutations and possibilities is actually beyond belief. But it's just for real, and we will just have to adjust more to AI as a tool than anything else. Honest to say, we have considered it, but we don't know where to start when it comes to, let's say, budgeting, on the applications, on the experts that we have to deal with. That these are not yet open market. This is not yet an open market matter. But we have a chief technology officer in the DOJ who can school us on AI and probably suggest ways by which we can use AI to make our operations more efficient. Thank you, sir.
My next question is, earlier, nabanggit po yung weaponization of actually criminal statutes against the vulnerable sectors. I know that you have an ongoing collaboration with the Department of Agrarian Reform to basically put a stop to the practice of filing criminal cases against farmer beneficiaries. Ano hong status nun? And because I am informed that that practice has continued, no? Na at root, the case is actually agrarian in nature, but then when there's an opportunity to make life difficult for farmers, ang ginagawa po, kinakasuhan ng iba't ibang kaso. Anong status nun?
Actually, I remember that case. It was Attorney Chris Monsod who went to the office to try to help the farmers, and we committed to help the farmers. It's just that we need people who will take the cudgels for them and follow up with us, so that we can be watching over the case closely. Kasi every minute that passes, may bago ho kaming kasong hinahawakan sa Department of Justice. But we just need a person who will follow up with us on these matters and remind us of things that have to be done regarding special cases like Bataan. I still remember that the family name Liton is attached to the case, and they were charged with ordinary crimes, but it was actually an agrarian dispute. That I remember up to now.
Yes, that's the particular case, but there are other names as well, not necessarily confined to Bataan. I guess what I'm trying to understand is, at the local level, there are prosecutors. So the prosecutors, the moment a complaint is filed and the counter affidavit is submitted, the counter affidavit will alert them whether this is agrarian in nature at root. So that is, for me, tantingin ko po, Ms. Secretary Rimulya, that is the trigger that should alert them that to further investigate to see if it's really a grudge complaint. So I think hindi ko lang alam po kung yung mga prosecutors at the local level are informed or have been advised about this, about the the collaboration that you have with the Department of Agrarian Reform, so that they know to actually police and screen these types of cases.
Opo, ang problema ho kasi sa agrarian dispute, like any land dispute, diyan po talaga very emotional ang tao. And actually, yan po yung source ng gera at maraming conflict sa buong mundo natin. Lahat po yan, from Gaza, to the real estate of Gaza, to the real estate of Bataan, isa lang po storya niyan. Who wants the land and who wants it more? Tapos, how far are they willing to do? How far are they willing to go to get that land to their ownership and possession? Yan po ay pwede namin i-assign sa aming regional prosecutors, I think. Meron silang overview ng terrain ng nangyayari po sa kanilang mga region. And kailangan lang po talaga namin private sector people who will remind us, and even government people, let's say congressmen, representatives, will remind po our regional prosecutors about these things happening. Kasi sa dami nga nung kasong humahawa o umiikot, a little push from your office will go a long way. Pagdating po rito, the regional prosecutor of Region 3, the provincial prosecutor of Bataan, these should all be informed ng opisina nyo. And then you can also give us, furnish us a copy of every letter you sent to them so that we can follow up on this, sir.
Thank you, Secretary Remulla. My next question is, earlier pinag-usapan po yung Witness Protection Program. I assume that to qualify or to benefit from the Witness Protection Program, you should qualify as a state witness, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I think one of the requirements there is that you have to be the least guilty,
Yes, not the most guilty.
not the most guilty.
Yes, sir.
Okay, somewhat guilty. My question is, for provincial ordinances that are criminal in nature, does and this is a legal question, no? I'm trying to pick, so any legal minds, including the Chairman Rufus, can chime in. Meron ho ba kapangyarihan ang local LGU na magbigay ng immunity to basically for an ordinance that is criminal in nature?
Parang wala pa ho tayo sa puntong yon. But it's something that can be considered, sir. Local problems, local ordinances can actually put people in jail for 3 days.
Hindi po.
3 days
Ano,
pa.
at the discretion of the court, kailangan ho merong dumaan sa korte pag meron hong kulong. Hanggang ano lang ho, penalty, monetary penalty ang pwedeng
Lang,
ipataw.
fine lang ho. No?
Ah.
Well, yun nga. Ang mahalaga talagang, well, we have to study that. No? Kung ano ho talaga, kung hanggang saan, kailangan, saan ang kamandag ng sangguniang panlalawigan. Hindi po natin alam kung gaano kalayo talaga ang pwedeng abutin yan. Alam ko yung mga curfew. Nung ako po yung member ng sangguniang panlalawigan ng Cavite, yung curfew ordinance was fully discussed during my time. Pero yung yung aspects that are penal and criminal in nature, hindi ho namin nadaanan masyado nung panahon ko po sa provincial board.
Kaya ko natanong yun, kasi kung ang Pangulo may kapangyarihan na magbigay ng immunity, ang katumbas po ng Pangulo sa local level ay ang governor na pwede magbigay ng immunity para mapatupad ang isang criminal ordinance. Maganda ang aking position, so sana meron. But
Ano ho kasi ang Witness Protection Program, only for grave felonies.
correct.
Punishable by 12 years and 1 day. 12 years and 1 day up, yan po yung pwede hong bigyan po ng witness protection. Pero below that, hindi ho kami pinapayagan ng batas.
Is Department of Justice open to legislation that will stiffen penalties for people who take kickbacks from social assistance programs of government.
Dapat po, malversation po yan. Dapat po talaga ma-check po natin yan. Kasi sa panahon ng ayuda, pag meron po nagsasamantala, ay doble po ang talo ng bansa. Mahirap po yan.
And this legislation would have to my mind, include a witness, a witness protection feature, and also immunity, to embolden people who want to cooperate.
Pwede
and
ho yan
speak up.
kasi ang malversation po, lalo na pag lumampas po na 8 billion, 8.8 million pesos, ano na ho yan? Life imprisonment na po yan. And it's a great felony po ang malversation. Kaya pwede ho yan. I think that's is very important para ho ito mga gantong payout program ng gobyerno hindi po mapagsamantalahan. Nakakaawa po naman po ang taong bayan.
Thank you, Secretary Rimulya. To the representative, I'm sorry I didn't get the name from the Public Attorney's Office. My question is there any plan on raising the indigency threshold?
We already revised our operations manual in 2021, Your Honor. We raised the indigency thresholds to 24,000 in Metro Manila, 22,000 net income in other cities, and 20,000 in other municipalities. Net income, Your
Yep.
Honor.
Is that
But-
definitive? In other words, if I earn more than 22,000 net outside Metro Manila, I will not qualify.
That is the indigency threshold at the moment, Your Honor.
Is the Public Attorney's Office complying with a Supreme Court case that says that it is not subject to conflict of interest at the office level?
With the conflict, we are fully complying with the provision of the CIPRA or Code of Professional Responsibility and Accountability in handling conflicting cases, Your Honor. However, the manner of handling cases differs depending on the resources and location of the district and regional offices, Your Honor.
No, actually, let me clarify my question. Kasi kadalasan ganito nangyayari. Merong isang lalapit sa inyo. Tapos nun, tinulungan nyo. Tapos yung kalaban lumapit sa inyo. Tapos ayaw nang tanggapin kasi nauna daw yung kabila. Now, the Supreme Court has said that the bar, the conflict of interest, only applies at the individual level. But on the office level, you can put up a Chinese wall so that you can represent both parties, provided that there is no collusion or exchange of confidential information internally.
Yes, Your Honor. Sometimes, Your Honor, in handling cases, even the division or the head of the office is actually involved in handling the cases. So if an opponent approaches the district office and the first client was already assisted by the lawyer, including his or her supervisor, we would refer the cases to the nearest district office, Your Honor.
Okay. Last question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, please.
To the Parole and Probation Board, given the budget that is allocated for the Parole and Probation Authority, is it sufficient, insufficient, given the problems that you have? And if so, what kinds of reforms do you need? Alam ko, Mr. Chair, compound, pero talagang kinocompress ko na lang.
With the permission of the Secretary, hindi po kulang po ang budget ng Parole and Probation Administration. Kulang po siya because ang workload ng isang probation officer ay 1:400 probationers per officer. Mabigat po ito because nagsusupervise siya at saka nag-investigate at the same time. Kailangan po namin ng modernization law to uplift the salary grade of entry probation officers, Your Honor.
Aside from that, what else? What kinds of reforms are you seeking?
Apart from that, we need to restore our budget from the PADS anti-drug strategy para po mabigyan kami ng 48 million for next year. we will hire 150 case decongestion assistants to deal only with the congested cases that we have. Thank you, sir.
Just to put on record, Mr. Chair, I'm
Please
actually,
proceed. Yes.
I've been meeting with the Parole and Probation Authority to actually address their needs, and they will have, I've filed legislation to actually address those problems, so that to capacitate them so that they can do a better job. On that, after that, wala na ako tatanong, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Representative Roman. So from the majority, we go back to the minority, and we have Deputy Minority Leader Percy Sendanya.
Marami pong salamat, Mr. Chair, and magandang hapon po sa DOJ family led by our good Secretary, Secretary Remulla. May nakita po akong post recently na isa kong kababata. Ang sabi po niyang ganun, dati daw po ang pinapanood niya ay Netflix, pero ngayon daw po ang pinapanood na niya ay ang mga hearings natin dito sa Kongreso. Sign daw po na nagkakaedad na siya. Yung aking pong first set of question is about a group of people na, opo, nagkakaedad na, pero unlike yung mga kababata ko, hindi po nakakapanood ng ating hearings sapagkat sila po ay mga PDLs. So the question is, may datos po ba tayo kung ilan po ang ating mga senior citizens o mga elderly na ngayon po ay nakakulong sa mga jails at sa ating pong prisons?